The musical.
That does sound interesting. I bet that would be fun.
Yeah. Maybe. Just
Get Jim there.
swallow your own heart and fear.
This episode is made possible by our therapy partners, Dirty B, Myra, and Pickett. From fabulous Las Vegas, Nevada, this is Pod Therapy. Real people, real problems, and real therapists. You can submit your questions anonymously at podtherapy.net or email us at podtherapyguys@gmail.com. And now broadcasting from the churn, that's Dr. Jim, that's Whitney, I'm Nick. It's time for some Pod
Top
Therapy.
of the morning to you. Happy St. Patrick's Day.
So what is going on with Kate Middleton?
Yeah. Oh, I know where she is, buddy.
Me and Laura were texting about this.
Oh, were you really?
Yeah. She was like, are you following this Kate Middleton stuff? I was like, yes.
It keeps showing
I
up
don't
on my
even care
TikTok,
about
and
the
I have no idea what it is.
I don't even care about the stupid royal
I have
family.
no
They're
idea what y'all are
pointless.
talking about.
Oh my God.
Apparently
Nobody's
she's
seen her in
missing.
months.
Yeah.
Wow.
And so
In fairness, I hadn't seen her before that.
Well,
So then
pictures were there.
They released this. The royal family released this picture and said, and it was very like, see, she's okay
For Mother's
And then-
Day in England.
Yeah, but then it was like you look at it and it was like a doctored photo, like it
photoshopped.
Was photoshopped.
Oh, yeah.
So then now that just fuels conspiracy theories even more.
She's like throwing a peace sign with the Twin
Yeah.
Towers
Yeah.
behind her.
yeah, so it's
Yeah.
Here we are in our recent visit.
She like doesn't.
riding a falcon for some reason. It's like it's clearly photoshopped.
She's the one that lives in the U.S., right?
No, that's
Meghan.
No, that's Meghan Markle.
Which everyone was saying if she were missing or a photo popped up of her, they're like, oh, they would just lay into her, but instead they're all like, where's Kate? Poor
Oh,
innocent
Meghan Markle
Kate.
is the one who used to be on Suits.
Yes.
She was the actress.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's Harry.
And so Kate Middleton is
Married to the next in
the
line.
future king.
yeah, she's a future
Well, yeah.
queen
Yep.
consort.
So
or whatever.
I saw
Yeah.
I saw a tweet. Somebody said Princess Kate on track for an Easter return.
Oh,
And it's a
nice. Photoshopped as Jesus coming out of the tomb. There it is. That's the move.
Right.
That's the reveal. Just
the reveal.
popping right out. Yeah, no Roman guards or nothing.
No.
That's how it's done. Roll away the stone.
There was only one set of footprints because Kate Middleton was carrying me.
Carried me.
Well, the crown is close to the Lord. That's why they're
that's
there,
what it
right?
is.
They have
Yeah.
direct contact.
Well,
with
this is
somebody.
how
Exactly.
absolute
Well, that's
monarchies
what
work.
That's what people always forget about the king or queen of England.
Yes.
Is also head of the Catholic
Head
or
of the
head of the
church.
Church of England.
Yeah,
Yes.
the Anglican
The
church.
the not Catholic Church.
Yes.
Yep.
That's a big
I
deal.
learned
that's-
that from the show Crown.
That's a big one. Yeah.
Yeah. These are
I
the
do
perks.
like the show Crown.
I do too.
These are the job perks they don't tell you in the interview, you
Yeah.
know. But if you get the gig,
Hey,
you're also kind of a de facto pope. So,
Yeah.
you could risk
Not a de facto
disappearing
pope.
though.
Just a
So,
pope.
high risk there.
Yeah, high risk, high reward. Welcome, everybody, and excited to have you with us. We've got some great questions.
Man,
on
I think I'd make a
today's
really good
episode.
pope.
Oh, dude, I would join your church so fast.
Yeah.
It would be great. Communion would just be whiskey shots.
Yeah.
Yeah, and like
Maybe
fucking
a sandwich.
I joined that cult.
and potato skins.
Yeah. Oh, potatoes. Communion with potato skins. Now you're on to something.
Potato skins and whiskey.
See, look, we've already made it better than the
We're
regular
already
church.
almost there. I mean, we could have robes. Why not?
Yeah.
Fucking, that's fun.
Hats,
Yeah,
big
Yeah,
hats,
gotta have hats.
fancy hats, slippers.
It's got
So
feather
what
boas.
would the signal be? What would the signal be like when they select a new pope and it's
Oh,
Jacob?
instead of
'Cause
the,
instead of the
smoke
white
coming out of the
smoke, I'm just
chimney.
trying to imagine.
I think it's a
what it would-
vuvuzela.
Yeah.
I think it's just a vuvuzela on the stratosphere. Look, they've picked a new audio guy.
I think
like
it's
that's right.
the sun rises just in the middle of the night. I think it's just a divine.
That's the spear. That's the spear, though.
Yeah.
The dead walk in the day.
Yeah.
You know, typical shit.
Yeah.
And a pale horse.
I mean, I'm on board.
Oh, the religion.
And
I like
on
it.
that horse was Jacob.
And he rode as death, followed by plague. Anyway, great questions for today.
You tell him I'm coming, and Jacob's coming with me.
He's down at the creek walking on water. All right, we got some great questions today. First one, sex object permanence from a nana-wife.
I'm curious.
It's a great
Intriguing.
title.
Piqued
It's
my- you piqued
really
my
good
curiosity.
title. You have all my attention. Hey, Pod Therapy guys. Yes, this one is addressed to the guys. as I have no idea where else to get a male opinion on this. Happy face. Yeah, fair.
I'm going to get my popcorn and leave you
Whitney, you're queued up on this,
Yep.
by the way. You're
She's
answering
ready to
first.
go. She's ready.
Whitney is definitely
I can't
answering
wait.
first.
I'm just going to start this off with an explicit disclaimer. Okay. I'm not sure how exactly...
Fuck you! This is a disclaimer!
There you go.
That's an explicit disclaimer.
Thank you, Jacob. Cunt wallet. I'm not sure how exactly to word this, but does the perception of sex change post-engagement or wedding? Is what appears to be little sex drive from my husband a red flag for problems? A little context. My husband and I met 3 years ago, dated for a year, got engaged, and were married last fall. I'm in my mid/late 20s, and he's in his early 30s. We don't have kids, but do have busy lives, careers, a house, etc. I know he is my person. We are a wonderful team, and he's my best friend. All is good with that. However, sex has just changed. And almost worse, what I hear from his past versus what I've seen seem very different. My question isn't about quality, as that's not a problem at all, but drive and quantity. The stories I've heard both about and from him in his time of college, law school, and pre-meeting me, he was always dating, hooking up, and it just sounds like sex was a thing a lot. When we met, it was consistent. Frequency was once a weekish, but basically easily put on the back burner for weeks or months due to work stressors, especially when he would have cases. He works in criminal justice with CP, sexual assault, child sexual abuse, etc. Once engaged, the frequency continued to decline to non-existent, the worst being for 4 months prior to the wedding. Now that we're married outside of the honeymoon, I think we're at 3 times in 5 months. He's not initiated since the engagement, outside of the few times I brought this up to him. He proceeded to initiate once after each time I've brought it up, and that was the end of it. He's still extremely affectionate, loving, etc., just not sexual. And I'm getting so frustrated that if I do not initiate, I'm fairly sure he would legitimately forget sex exists. I have to be so blunt that usually the only hint he gets is me standing in front of him in full-out lingerie. I've brought it up many times, and he is always shocked it's been that long. He thought he does initiate, and he generally seems to honestly forget about the existence of sex until I'm standing in front of him in lingerie, which baffles me. No erectile dysfunction or anything like that. He always has a great time once he remembers it exists. He doesn't see it as a problem either, as I've suggested couples therapy, but he genuinely is confused and thinks it's fine and states we need to do it way more often, which he never really acts on. It isn't a big enough issue to start World War III over, but I'm wondering a few things. Number 1, do guys see their wives differently once they truly take on the protector and provider role, which he takes a lot of pride in? Number 2, is it just me, or does it seem super strange that his sex life prior to me is wildly different from now? Number 3, is this normal? Do people actually, genuinely forget sex exists, even when they act super attracted to their partner, basically at all times? P.S. Yes, I've bought every freaking thing to try to help. Dice, scratch-off tickets, a variety of lingerie types, a large variety of lubes and condoms, toys, the Sexy Couples Adventure book, coupons, and whatever the fuck else I can find. He hates the idea... Coupons! He hates the idea of a schedule or planning it out.
I get 4 boxes of Kleenex for $1. Wow, I need to fuck somebody.
You've been lucky
It's
tonight.
just grocery store coupons. That's the best idea ever. Hey, baby, this turning you on? Holy shit, milk's 30% off.
50
Money
cents.
savings gets my juices going.
I gotta fuck somebody right now. He hates the idea of a schedule or planning it out. As he said, it feels no longer spontaneous. Unless it is in front of his face, it doesn't exist. Can one just lose object permanence for sex? Thanks, guys. Anana wife. Oh, man.
All right, Whitney.
All right, I want to
Whitney, take it
answer
away.
first. And
Tell
then
her
we'll
about
pass
the
it on.
boys.
I know, right? Okay, so a couple things. The first question, does that role sort of change how a husband views their wife? My opinion, or a male partner views their female partner once they're like serious or long-term. And my opinion is that sometimes, yes, because...
Hey, Whitney, pull that mic up to you.
Oh,
you're kind of off to the side.
Sorry. But my opinion is that sometimes, yes, because it's kind of like, what's that saying? It's like, I want a lady in the street, but a freak in the bed. Really, I don't think that's true. I think it's very difficult for people, and in this case, men, to like separate that out and say, sometimes it is to say like, all right, let's like get crazy in the bedroom, and then like, all right, everything's like fine and normal, and you're like doing everything in your daily life. I think some men have a hard time separating that out because it feels like they're like disrespecting their wife, or like, depending on what you're into. But if you're trying to like get into more adventurous things, I have heard that be an issue where it's like, yeah, that's hard for me because I love you. I care about you. I don't want to hurt you. I don't want to, whatever else. But the woman's like, no, this is like a role we're playing, and this isn't how we're really going to be. But yeah, that's kind of talking about maybe more adventurous things. So I do feel like there is a shift sometimes there where it might be hard to blend those two.
And she did say that he kind of takes pride in that protector role as well. So in this case, like possibly. My real answer there is possibly. Like it could be like,
Can't rule it out.
He might be in his head about that a little bit. Maybe not.
Maybe not, but that's something to think about. Second, just the timing on everything. So I think I have a kind of a tentative timeline of when y'all were dating and then engaged and now married. I don't know when he started getting the kind of cases that he was getting at work, but to me it sounds like you said whenever he gets more of those cases, he is backing off more. That makes total sense to me. I'm like, if you're reading about these horrendous things happening sexually, it's really hard to go home and be like, let's go.
Because you're just masturbating furiously at work.
Oh, I can't even laugh at that because it makes me uncomfortable. I cannot.
Get home, you're like, I gotta sleep.
Stop talking, Jim. I can't. So yeah, that timeline seems to check out, and maybe you've thought about that already, but sometimes we don't think about all these things. And now that you've laid it out in a question to us, maybe that is something to think about, that timeline. And lastly, my opinion is when he says, I don't like planning it out because it doesn't feel spontaneous, I would just ask him back, what do you want to do then? Because my opinion is that there can be fun things about planning it out where it builds like anticipation and excitement, where it's like, maybe it's not spontaneous, but if you're working all week and busy and all that, it's like, can't wait for Friday night. Like,
right. You have something to look forward to.
It's just like changing that mentality from, oh, this is like boring and planned and not spontaneous. Well, you're not being spontaneous anyway for whatever reason.
Well, it's spontaneous for him because she just randomly shows up in lingerie. So he's like, oh, I'm going to go get holy shit, I'm about to have sex. Like, that sounds great for him.
Yeah, that's fair.
But for her, she's like, hey, dude, otherwise we're dormant here.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So maybe trying to shift that. And sex is so important in relationships. I hear you when you say it's not World War III, but things like this can build. Yeah. And so I love that you're trying to find a solution. And oh my gosh, all the things that you have tried already, high five, way to go. You have done...
You did the whole checklist.
Everything, yes. Super proud of you for that. But if it's still not working, I would just genuinely go to him and say, look, I need you to focus and listen. Yeah. This is a big deal to me, and I'm not sure where to go. You're telling me you're not comfortable planning it. I've tried all these things that you listed out. What do you think we should do? Yeah. I mean, what does he say?
And it sounds like they've talked about it, and husband is responsive each time. Like, yep, I agree. We should do this more often. And so his heart's
what is
in
more
it,
often?
But then the consistency's not there.
But also, it sounds like he doesn't realize that this is a problem either. Because he's kind of saying, well, yeah, I mean, but like
does he know how big of a problem?
There is a portion of the letter where he says like, no, I think we're doing great.
I didn't realize it's been that long.
Yeah, and he's like time blind because he's like, no, it hasn't been 4 months.
I have heard of that with very busy, like highly successful men. Sure. Like I see that a lot. They're like, oh my God, it's been a month. And to them, it's been like a week. And you were doing it once a week before, so this doesn't feel different.
I mean, disclosure, that has happened to me.
Yeah.
That has absolutely happened to me.
Y'all are busy all over the place, too.
And all of a sudden I'll be like, oh, shit, it's been like 6 weeks.
Yeah.
Like, oh, damn.
Yeah, exactly. Life
and
happens.
You haven't been returning my phone calls.
Right.
So,
and I'm not going to start now.
Yeah.
Well, it needs to be spontaneous.
Yeah.
That's what I said. Yeah.
Did Jim show
if you
up in
listen to my
lingerie?
goddamn voicemails.
He did. And I was like, Jim, this is a school. You need to get out of here.
You can't be here. Read the fucking mail.
Those were my things, but I want to hear what y'all say.
Very good.
I don't know.
Very good job.
It's my word.
If he doesn't want to go to go into counseling for it or whatever, that's a step. And that can be a big step, and that can be a thing in its own.
He'll just be like, "No, I agree. We should have sex more
That's
often."
what's
And
so
then it's
hard
like,
about
"All
it,
right, bye."
because it really is this natural internal clock, right? It's like any other appetite. And so when you sit down with somebody, and like we've had lots of people come into therapy that are like, hey, we have a sexual incompatibility here and want to work on it. And really it's more about behavioral activation therapy, Pavlovian responses like, okay, let's get all these things out that the writer talks about.
I'm
like
very
coupons.
happy because my answer was going to involve Pavlovian stuff too. I was going to use that word.
Ring a bell.
Oh, I'm so happy.
Just keep showing up naked.
I don't know much,
but I know how to make dogs drool.
Yeah.
But no, I mean, that's honestly like the best thing I can offer. And definitely there's therapists that like super specialize in this, and maybe they have other tricks up their sleeves, but it's not like he has a hang up, it's not like he's saying like, actually, I've never been into sex, which it's interesting to hear the appetite differential.
Oh, I would ignore that completely.
That makes sense to me, actually.
Just because you're aging. I mean, just time.
Not just the aging, but like it's different when you are a single guy living by yourself or with a male roommate, and then you're dating somebody, as opposed to you have this woman who now lives with you.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
We don't know how much time has passed, but it could be an age thing. But it's certainly like there's definitely a different environment.
Yeah,
he's early 30s.
It changes a lot because like you see this woman. It's like, okay, well, we go on a date. I see her on Thursday. We hang out, have a good time, whatever. And then she leaves and is gone again.
Right.
And then when she comes back, and it's very easy to like, you always see this person at their best because they're preparing. Ooh, I've got a date tonight.
Right.
I'm gonna blah blah blah, dress up, look
There's
nice, whatever. But like when you move in together and you're living together, you see them when they're at their best, and you see them at their worst. And you see them where it's just like
very true.
It's like the relationship naturally kind of changes.
I've seen them poop.
Yeah.
Hopefully not.
No.
But no. I'm not here to kink shame.
I'm not.
Well, it sounds like
you.
Give me that glass the glass coffee table.
No, but
I'll just be under there.
There it is. Let me tell you how to renew your marriage.
It took me a second.
Let me take you to Jacob's church. Let me take you to church. Let me teach you how this is done.
Hope you like potato skins.
Glass table. No, but you're, Nick, making a really good point. And this goes back to a book that we've recommended on the show, and writer, I'd really recommend grabbing it. It's a very short book. But one of my favorite authors on this topic is Esther Perel. And she, by the way, has a great podcast. I think it's like Where We Find Ourselves. But she got famous with her first book, Mating in Captivity. And her whole approach to therapy was just being a specialist trying to reignite intimacy and sexual desire in long-term relationships. Now, yours is still a relatively new relationship, but her premise is that familiarity has an inverse relationship with eroticism. And this kind of goes back to what Nick was talking about, that in the beginning of a relationship, there's a phase where you're kind of encountering each other and seeing each other. And because there's sort of like this need for affirmation and reconnection and restoration, the intimacy quickly becomes that thing that you're using to reconnect, to rebond, to reassure that our relationship's going well, we're awesome, let's take the next step. And then whenever you get into the familiarity of routine and the strength of commitment, according to Dr. Perel, there can be an inverse relationship where for many couples, not all, but for many, there's a dropping off of eroticism because the familiarity is kind of replacing that. And that doesn't always, get people excited because you're just more used to that person and they're just inhabiting your space in a more familiar way.
I do have an idea. So he doesn't want to schedule sex.
Right.
You can schedule other things though. Because it sounds like if you instigate the sex, then it's happening. So I think what I would recommend is trying to schedule a date night.
Ooh.
I like that idea.
You go on a date.
He likes that part.
You do your thing. And then after the date, I think at least at the beginning, you instigate sex.
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm a comedian, sound guy, podcaster guy, but like...
And life coach.
Teacher,
Professional life
church
coach.
starter.
And Pope.
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, I'd start with something like that. I'd try, maybe you have, I don't know.
Yeah.
But
here's where you're right, because if the
and
husband
that's what I was going to say, Pavlovian,
yeah.
is then like you get used to like, oh, when we get home from dinner, like it's fuck o'clock.
It's fuck o'clock.
Yeah.
Yes, it's fuck 30 somewhere. I love that phrase. No, but like this is exactly it. So when people say, so like if we're giving therapist advice, if we have a couple that comes in, and like I was saying a moment ago, is usually our best move, if there's not a clear hang up or some kind of trauma block or something like that, our best move is usually behavioral activation. We're just going to help you determine some kind of ritual that's going to inaugurate sex time. And this is where it can still be somewhat spontaneous in that you're not you're not saying, let's plan at 9:30 p.m. to be on the bed missionary style. Yeah, I get it. That's not spontaneous. But if you say, hey, Friday night.
It is if you bring in actual missionaries.
If you bring in real missionaries, which the Church of Jacob has. That's what his missionaries do. And they do reverse cowgirl and all the other fun shit.
That's right.
All the things, because they're passionate.
It's actually all the missionary position in my church.
That's what they do.
Yeah.
Very, very passionate. No, but like this is how we can create a space that is, it can optionally be sexual, but it is designated time for connection. And honestly, whenever you have really busy jobs and you're kind of still newlywed, you're very much still newlyweds, you're within 1 year. This is something that long-term relationships quite often establish, that there are kind of designated windows of time that sometimes they officially say, hey, I'm going to plan date week this week, and why don't you plan it next week? And the third week, why don't we make it just a movie night? And then the fourth week, we do whatever. And just like that way, we're having these regular encounters. Sometimes they get sexual, sometimes they don't. But they're bonding times that we set aside for each other. And we just make each other a little bit of a priority. Shoot, one night a week, man. It's like 4 hours out of like 7 times 24. So very common.
Do that math.
Nobody can do that. But, very common for long-term relationships to do that. And then you're creating a window of opportunity in which spontaneous sex can more likely occur.
Right.
That's what you're doing.
If he's recognizing it.
But this is I think a really important question. I appreciate the way this is written, because obviously we've heard lots of letters over the years where it's the male, right? The male saying, hey, my wife has lost desire here, and this is a problem, but I'm not allowed to say that, right? Because that can feel insulting, or it's sort of like male stereotypy, like guys only want one thing. And then it gets really complicated. And from the male position, we usually hear men talk about like, I'm trying to do right things. I'm trying to make her happy or earn her or whatever. But it's getting emotionally difficult. And it's interesting to kind of see it the other way around, where we have a female saying, hey, look, I have sexual needs, and the dude I signed up for had a certain resume.
Right.
And the dude I signed up for had a certain appetite and a certain libido, and that made me feel a certain kind of way, and that was a part of our relationship triangle, and that is gone now, and I am doing everything I can to recapture that, and at some point, and I don't think the author quite yells this, there can be some resentment. There can be a sense of bait and switch, like, what the hell? I was signed up for like we're young, I'm in my 20s, you're early 30s, like, I want this, but you don't see me, and that can be really, really confusing too.
Yeah.
Just a little plug. If
butt
you
plug.
are on Patreon,
I was going to mention that earlier.
The butt
Seemed
plug.
obvious. She didn't try it. She didn't
You
listen
got to
to it.
throw it all in there.
Sorry,
you're good.
In the butt.
I'll always pause for butt plugs.
As your bumper sticker says.
Yeah. I break for butt plugs. If you are a Patreon at the $5 or above level, I did an interview with Jonathan Senda, sex therapist. And that was posted on May 15th, 2023. So you can go back and listen to that. And he talks a lot about this. I mean, I bring up a lot of common questions that we get on the show. And one of them is very similar to yours. And one of the points that he made that I thought was really interesting is, kind of like talking about like if you have, 2 rocks or pieces of flint and you're going to create a spark, you can't start with them together. You have to pull them apart first and then you have to smash them together.
Right.
And this idea that like, sometimes we get too close to people, especially in the day and age now where there's so many of us working from home.
Yeah.
Where it's like you never leave your house, you never leave your spouse, you never leave this person you're around.
Yeah.
And so it can become difficult to kind of create that spark when there's no distance between the two of you.
It's a really good point. And another angle to take on this too, there's a lot of interesting, because we've seen a lot more development of things like attachment theory and like explanations of ways that humans do relationship. And there's a developing body of work, though I wouldn't say anything like too well researched at this point, that tries to describe sexual relationship styles too. And one of those is called responsive sexuality. And that's where a person does not typically find that they spontaneously have the appetite for sex, that it doesn't seem to originate with them. But when approached or you start throwing sex at them, they're very happy with this. And they're like, yes, that sounds fantastic. And then you're kind of confused because you're like, you seem to really like this and you perform and we have a great time. Why are we not doing this more often? And it can be really perplexing. And so that responsive type seems to be a description of humans who, again, are all in and love this, but it has to be ignited in them. They are not the sparker. You've got to initiate it with them. But that can be tricky, writer, because sometimes if you're always the initiator, as you say in your email, that can be hard because at some point that can feel daunting. It doesn't feel like an equal relationship. I think even you, the initiator, want to feel desired too. And sometimes that means you're being pursued or this kind of stuff is being brought up. Another thing I would put out there as a suggestion is the Love Nudge app. It covers a lot more bases than just sex, but I do like it. It kind of uses the love languages concept. You both download it. You take little quizzes. It talks about your love languages. That's always good in a new relationship too. But then what it does is it says, okay, your spouse's love languages are this, this, and this. Here's a shit ton of suggestions that people who like those things might like you to do for them. And then you can pick them in your little phone menu and say, ooh, I'll do this, and I'll do this, and I'll do this. And then it'll say, great, how often do you want me to remind you to do that, buddy? And that's really great because then your phone chirps and goes, hey, when's the last time you bought your wife a gift? Here's a list of suggestions you said a month ago would be a good idea. Do that. And then when you do it, it kind of gives you points.
An envelope of cash.
Yep. Here you go. Get your gift card to Applebee's.
Yeah.
Babe. Sploosh.
Still got to go with our gift cards.
Yeah,
I know. Fuck. We need to do that.
The three of you do.
Yeah. So there are lots of different approaches here, writer. And maybe that can be a thing that can help too. I love your honesty. I love that you're talking about this. I love that you're trying all these different methods. I love that you're asking good questions. And I agree with Whitney. Being able to ask things like, what excites you? What turns you on? What works for you? What can I do to attract you? But also give you space to initiate. And then seeing if there's a way to negotiate some of this stuff where we can still have spontaneity within windows that are predictable. Because if we don't make time for doing this or finding each other in erotic, kind of romantic, angled ways, we will lose that. Right. And you will become roommates.
And at the end of the day, if he's saying he does like it afterwards, he's like, that was great. Let's do more of that. Right. But I don't want it to be planned. It's like, well, what's winning there? Like your dislike of planning it or actually having sex? Like,
yeah, I think that's why I like the idea of like a date night or an intimacy night.
Yeah.
So it's almost like we're going to agree that we're going to be close. But no guarantee of sex, so there's no pressure that anybody has to do anything.
Right.
And if we can just be close to each other, then that's enough. And if it turns to something else, great, but we have to go into it kind of without that. So there is still kind of that level of like, because I kind of agree with him in that sense that like, I don't like it scheduled because when I think of that, I think of couples that like really don't like each other, but they're just doing it because
it's an obligation.
It's Wednesday and there's nothing on TV.
Yeah, right.
It's like it's kind of that type of
not since The Office went off the air.
Yeah.
That kind of joke, you know.
That used to get
and
me
I realize
hard.
that's just me, and that's not a fair picture of how couples really are.
Sure.
But that's just how I picture it in my head. So he's kind of got the same idea with that, where it kind of like
that could be a turn off.
It turns off. Yeah. But if you make it just a date night, then the sex can still stay spontaneous.
Right. But you still have
you're
a regular
planning
time.
the intimacy.
There's another book that, God, I haven't seen this one in a long time. It was called like The Token or something like that. And in this one, the method was
Lord of the Rings.
I think that was it. One ring to rule them all. The O ring.
Tolkien.
Rule them all. There it is. Tolkien. So this was, in this method, there was some kind of object. I think it was like a bead or whatever they chose, coin. But you would put it on your spouse's nightstand. Like there's a little bowl or something like that.
That was an indicator.
It was an indicator of like, hey, I would really like you to make a move. And so the rule of the relationship was, hey, if you see that thing in there, obviously you don't have to do it right now. It's still on your terms. But you cannot fucking miss this
your
signal
green light.
to please make this a priority. And if you don't, now I'll take it personally. Like, I'm giving you permission to not naturally have this idea, but I'm signaling it to you that I would like you to initiate or approach.
It's the quickie mart flipping over the sign. We're open.
I'm open for business. And usually the couple
Hot
has
donuts ready to go.
You don't have to buy anything. Just letting you know.
Just letting you know. You can browse. You can do whatever you want. But like, there's usually a time window associated with the token that's like, okay, this is 3 days. Like you have a 72-hour window from whenever you get the lead. And it's like, okay, so that's nice because then it's spontaneous, like you can throw it in wherever, but you have a window of half a fucking week to try to please make a move. And like, I will be very receptive. You're not going to get rejected, open net, go for it. So that could be cool.
I mean, we have an example of that in the studio. Like Jacob literally has a candle on his desk that says "Light me when you want a BJ."
Yeah.
Which
is it lit right now?
It's always lit.
Yeah, it's just I've noticed that it's completely melted.
It's always pointing right to me.
I think it's just essential oils. I don't even think it's a candle anymore. It's just all over the place. Ryder, this is a great question, and I really appreciate it. I think you speak for a lot of folks that sometimes don't, feel comfortable talking about this. You're still newlyweds. There's a lot of change in the air, and you know what? You're defining this next chapter. Marriage does, for many people, fundamentally change. You talked about, can men kind of have a nature shift? Could be the job, could be the protector thing. For a lot of men, if they end up in pregnancy or something like that, that can affect them because they're like, hey, there's something about there being a person inside of you that's like making this not possible for me. So these kinds of things can change. And I love that you're trying to adapt. I just want to encourage you to be creative, encourage that open honesty. I don't want you to conclude that anything's wrong with you, though it does sound like he is going through life change as far as what I'm hearing with the job stuff. And I appreciate that as a variable. I think that's relevant. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Try the bead thing. Or the butt plug
anal
thing.
beads?
Yeah.
Is that what the bead thing is?
You know what? You're just disgusting.
Get your mind out of the gutter, Whitney.
So gross.
Oh my God.
This show used to be so good.
That's why y'all brought me on.
Right to the gutter, this woman. She just takes us into it. We're going to take a quick break, and when we come back, we're discussing guilt. You're listening to Pod Therapy.
Today's episode is brought to you by Ben, Don, Malia, Richard Macy, Sonny Boy, University Jeff, Samantha Cone, Thunder, Cougar, Falcon, Scoop, Slippy motherfucker, and Sandra McWaffle. By the way, Thunder, Cougar, Falcon, Scoop, your merchandise is on the way.
Yay.
I'm a little mixed up with the store, but I fixed it. Would you like to sponsor the show?
We had to reopen the store.
At patreon.com/therapy. I got Mental Fit t-shirts.
I saw that. See that. The MFer shirts? Those are pretty funny.
Yeah. It says tough MFer.
Yeah.
Oh, that's
it was
awesome.
very clever. I liked it.
I got a few shirts on there now. So if you want a Mental Fit personal training t-shirt,
which Nick will sign if you buy it and show up to Scoop Fest.
I will.
It's true.
I'll even sign it with my own name.
That's right. And he will have the pen in his mouth.
Yes. Okay. All right. Our theme in honor of St. Patrick's Day
yes.
boy.
is Ireland. Okay.
Yes.
Okay, because we already did St. Patrick's trivia last year.
Yes.
If you remember that. And
of course I do.
Yep. All right. Closest without going over.
5.
How many letters? Jim's done. Okay. 2 of you. How many letters are in the Irish alphabet?
Fuck. I think I went low on that.
Oh, so like Gaelic?
Yep.
Ooh. Do they have a... Is it English letters?
Oh my gosh, don't answer.
Do they use our letters?
You know what? Hold on. We're going to come back to this one. Jim, what continent is Ireland on?
Oh, it's an island. That's not fair. That's
Ooh.
That's... Yeah, back up off your boy. I know
Okay,
shit.
what continent is it close to?
I don't know. Fucking Mel Gibson invaded it. Like,
I mean, technically, it's still
just not
continent.
true.
It's still part of the continent.
No, I know. I was just trying to get an answer out of
okay.
it. Yeah.
so is Hawaii part of a continent?
And Mel Gibson didn't invade Ireland.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Braveheart was not in Ireland.
Oh, what?
Oh my god.
Oh yeah. I did. I
They're
stopped
wearing
listening
kilts.
to him. Is that what he's talking about? He's talking about Braveheart.
Oh, wait, that's Scotland.
Hey, look at the big brain on Brad.
Yeah. All right, so wait, the Gaelic letters are American letters, right? But there's just like more of them?
Kind of.
Maybe.
They're a little bit different, but there are
right.
some similarities.
Okay.
I want to listen to Jim try and read
No, they're not Slavic.
the Gaelic names.
Yeah, it's not a Slavic.
I want to see that.
All right. Can I go first?
Yes.
Sure.
You did. You said 5.
Fuck you. I retract my 5. So what, we got like 26? I don't think they need that many.
Okay.
I think their sounds
I don't think we need that many, by the
honestly,
way.
the letter K is fucked. We don't need letter K.
And why? Fuck you, why?
We don't need Y. You're bullshit.
Pick a lane. Be a consonant or a vowel.
Fine. I'm going to say, let's go with 19. I feel like we could shave 7 off and they'd be fine with it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm going to guess 32.
That's a lot.
I know.
Ooh.
I'm going,
a lot
I'm
of
going big.
sounds. You got to get a
We're
lot of sounds
closest without going over?
Close without going
Dang
over.
it. I'm
One
screwed.
letter.
Jacob wins.
One letter.
It's going on the
Dang it.
way
my
under.
real guess is like 12, 16, somewhere in that
Really?
neighborhood.
That's so few.
It is 18.
Oh, there you go.
Wow, I was really
You're
fucking
very
close.
close.
Damn it.
I was closest without going over, though.
I would have. 20 was my other guess, so I'd have been screwed either way.
Damn.
Okay, the burial monument and passage tomb Newgrange is approximately how old? Closest without going over.
I need you to repeat
For
those
reference,
words.
Stonehenge is about 5,100 years old,
Yeah.
and the pyramids at Giza are around 4,600 years old.
And what is this monument?
It's a burial mound.
Newgrange.
Is this the one where that ray of light goes through
Yes.
it?
Yeah.
Oh, that thing.
On the winter solstice
Yeah.
for 15 minutes.
Let's see. I went last
gets
time.
light.
I'll go first this time.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I'll say 430 years.
Okay.
430 years.
430 years.
Okay. Yeah. So you're
Other
going
ones were
like
5,000.
back to like the
1600-ish.
Protestant Reformation. Okay. Cool.
Yeah.
I'm gonna say 1,500. 1,500 years.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay. I'm going to go high. I'm going to take, well, actually, I guess to win it, I don't want to go that high. Let's go with 2,000 years since that'll cover it.
Okay. I would have gone with 15,001 year, but you do that.
1,500.
Did you say
1,500?
1,500?
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I'll give her some
gone
gap.
15 over 1.
I'm a gentleman. All right. I'll
Thank
give her
you.
room to move.
You are a
here.
gentleman.
I'm a gentleman.
And you are a winner.
All
right.
right. What's it,
Oh.
like 6,000?
5,200.
Dang
There
it.
you go.
Which does
Pretty
make
deep.
it older than Stonehenge
That's
and
real.
the
Gosh.
pyramids at Giza.
Damn.
Dang.
Wow.
So there you go.
Okay.
Okay, last one for this break. According to our show sponsor, Guinness,
Guinness.
according to a Guinness commissioned study from 2000, approximately how many pints of the Irish stout go to waste every year
Oh, wow.
in facial hair?
Oh, wow. That they studied this.
Oh my! That took me a minute to process what that
great
question
use of
was.
science.
Oh my
Yes.
god!
I love that funding went to a scientist.
Yeah.
And they said, you figure this shit out.
Yeah.
Okay. And you use the method.
I'm working on cancer. Stop what
Stop
you're doing
that.
right now.
We'll get to it. All right.
Plenty of people working
Jacob's
on
like,
cancer.
I volunteer
Yeah.
as tribute.
A lot of 5Ks out there for
Oh, yeah, for
that.
that.
Why don't we get this Guinness thing sorted out?
Wait, so
Wow.
it's per year or
Measured
per...
by pints?
Pints per year.
Wow.
Yes, how many pints of the Irish stout
lost
go to waste every year in facial hair.
All right, Whitney, hit us.
I know I'm first.
It's got to be a lot.
I'm gonna say 100.
100 pints.
Yeah.
100 pints.
Am I second
99
on this
bottles
one?
of pints on
You got to go last once.
Yeah, no,
but I got to go last too. So.
Oh, did you?
Yeah, I did the last one. We both seemed to win when we
Oh, I guess Whitney just never has to go last.
Weird.
Oh, wait, how did that happen?
We went
Whitney should have gone last the last time.
Oh, we should have gone in a circle.
Yeah, the second time Whitney should have gone last.
That's fine.
Yeah.
Jim fucked Whitney over.
Yeah, way to be a gentleman.
Yeah.
Fucking me over.
All right, in that case, I'll be a gentleman and let Jim go first.
What a nice guy. Yeah, I'll take. Fuck, it's hard to measure.
What did you say, Whitney?
100.
100.
All
So
right.
I'm just 200 pints.
All right.
Yeah.
I'll take the 201.
Dick.
Okay, Jacob wins.
Yeah.
What an
Although it's
asshole.
him a winner.
last.
It's hard to call him a winner.
It's like
because
5,000 or some shit.
It's going to be a giant number.
He is 162,000 and about 500 pints short.
Yeah.
Wow.
I don't believe that. I want to see the science.
162,719 pints.
Dude, how many pints would fit in the fucking Titanic? It's got to be real close.
I
fucking
question.
close to that.
I'm not calling shenanigans, but
I
I
wouldn't dare.
But I
wouldn't
have
dare call
questions.
You will not call
Science
shenanigans on the good people against
I
us.
won't. But I do have follow-up questions.
I would read the white paper.
Me, 5,000 would have been better.
Discord, if any of you guys can find me this
Google.
research and post it on this thread, I will read that research. I want to see it. I just want to know. I want the scientists to be named like O'Douls. Like that'd be the correct thing. Just fuck Guinness. All right, next question. Guilt from Anonymous. Hello, long-time listener here, and I'd like to thank you all for your hard work. I'm not sure.
You're welcome.
Yes. End of question. I'm not sure how to best pen this down, but I'll try to make sense. For context, I'm 28 and married with a 1-year-old son. I've always been the kind of person who thinks that he exists to be of service to others. I have a strong sense of responsibility to the different roles I play in life: husband, son, employee, human being, etc. While I'd say for the most part these things have resulted in me being appreciated or recognized for being dependable and reliable. But as life progresses and I start playing more and more roles, like a father for example, I find myself overwhelmed with guilt whenever I feel like I'm falling short. For example, I've taken it upon myself to do all the chores after work so that my wife, who's a stay-at-home mom, can rest. However, I would feel horrible when I accidentally fall asleep on the couch from being too tired. This gets amplified when I wake up to see that my wife has done the dishes. I'll become extremely apologetic and feel like I let down my wife. She's amazing and has no issues with wanting to let me sleep. So I know this is an internal problem. I do more and more to the point of being overwhelmed by fatigue instead. How do I deal with the debilitating feelings of regret and guilt from thinking that I'm not doing enough or that I fell short of fulfilling my responsibilities? How do I accept that I might actually be doing okay when I feel like I'm never allowed to rest? Thanks, and I hope this wasn't too incoherent. Anonymous.
Ugh. Those are hard.
Mm-hmm.
It's complicated when you can tell it's internal. Nobody outside of you is putting these pressures on you. It's all coming from inside.
It makes it difficult too, because then it's like, well, we're going to give you advice, but you're not going to listen to it anyway because you're already convinced.
Yeah.
It's an internal thing. So it's like, we can. I've got some stuff that I think might help.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, are you willing to let this go?
So yeah, I think of specific clients I've worked with who kind of struggle with similar ideas or thoughts about themselves. Typically, what I've seen there is something happened with them with typically a parent or a guardian who placed a lot of pressure on them or neglected them, and they put that pressure on themselves. But there's that need of like perfectionism to show like I'm valuable, and I would dig into that for yourself a little bit. I'm not saying that's what you went through, but that might be something worth exploring to help kind of dig up where that might be coming from. I do want to go into, like in a minute.
I'm just going to jump in
please do.
To piggyback off of that.
Yeah.
I see this a lot with adult children of alcoholics.
Ooh.
The oldest child.
The oldest, yes.
Because what tends to happen in families where there's a lot of alcohol abuse is like if one of the parents is a heavy drinker and the alcoholic, the other parent drops everything to grab this person to keep them attached to the family.
Yeah.
And then as a result, the oldest child now becomes the parent and then has to take care of the younger kids. And then what ultimately happens is this is at a time where they're developing their identity. And so now they're developing their identity as a helper. I'm only useful if I'm doing something for other people.
Or lovable if I'm doing something.
And then they grow up to be an adult, and now they can't just be independent. They have to be helping somebody else. So if they do this in a healthy way, they become a nurse. Or if they do it in an unhealthy way, they marry another alcoholic. But they have to, their life has meaning when they're giving somebody assistance.
Yeah, gosh. And it sounds like, especially that kind of hyper vigilance. I mean, I don't know if that's the right word I want to use there, but regarding your wife and just being so worried that she, I know you're not saying she's going to like judge you or say you're falling short, and you're putting that on yourself. But I wonder if deep down you are worried about that too. Like at some point she will be. Like the shoe will drop is what I hear usually from a client. Like someday they will leave. Someday it will be too much. Someday, my partner will be sick of me because I'm not worthy. It's like comes from that deep down.
Worth from what I can do for them.
Now, how to manage that? It is tough. What Nick said in some ways can be kind of true. It's like really challenging that deep-rooted feeling and thought it's tough to do, and you may not believe it at first as you tell yourself. Affirmation. So that's what I usually go to just to start, and I really explain to clients who are in similar situations, this is a long-term road. This is not going to help by next week. It might help a little bit, a small percentage. I ask them to come up with the affirmation. I will sometimes give an example and they will reword it. We come up with that. They'll put it in like a notes app in their phone, or some people put them on their, this is more common I've seen now, on their like close screen. So they can just tap their phone and it's quick. Right there. I don't know if you're comfortable with that. Other people may see that depending on your environment. So you may not want to do that, but where if you're at work and putting that pressure on yourself, or at home and you start recognizing that thought process, like, oh, I fell asleep on the couch. Your wife is obviously seeing that you are exhausted. You're not trying to go to bed. I'm going to go get ready for bed while you do the dishes. You came home and sat down to rest for a moment and with the intention of doing the dishes, but you fell asleep. You're tired. And she's understanding of that, even though she's tired as well. But the affirmations are usually where I start. And it sounds so basic. I feel almost silly like throwing those out there, but it really is one of the starting points as we dig into like where it's coming from. If you're wanting to see at least some minimal results in the beginning, and just practicing changing that mentality, because it took years of, they're 28. Yeah. You're 28.
Yeah.
There's a lot of years of you telling yourself, I'm lazy.
I'm not doing this right. I'm letting people down. I could have done more. I'm selfish.
Yep. And now I'm exhausted and I'm still thinking all those things.
Right.
And your exhaustion is valuable. You deserve rest. You deserve to have a break and it sounds like you have a great relationship with your wife. So y'all are able to sort of work through what feels appropriate and acceptable in a healthy way when it comes to maybe chores divided. That is hard when you have a 1-year-old. So yeah, again, 1-year-old. So that I'm sure is really tough to navigate with your emotions, not maybe being, as Jim says, right-sized, maybe feeling, really tough on yourself. But I would start with some kind of affirmation challenging that thought of I can do more, and instead I'm doing enough. I'm doing the best I can. I can talk to my wife if I feel like I'm not and ask her, is there more that you think I should be doing? And I only say that because you shared that you seem to have a really good relationship with her. But
yeah. But it is very internal. And I want to grab that idea of affirmation because I appreciate it is a simple place to start, but it's the beginning of a much longer inner dialogue.
It's like a snowball.
Yeah, because I really hear some of this as, very adjacent to what people with anxiety have, where we are sort of misreading situations and then feeling like, okay, I've done something wrong, something's out of place. And then there's this internal restlessness, and it can turn into self-critical of like, God, I hate this feeling of dis-ease, and I wish I just would have done the damn dishes and not fallen asleep, because whatever relief I got from falling asleep is overwhelmed by all this icky that I feel afterward for not doing the thing that would have made me feel peace, that I had done enough today or I'd been of service. So it's adjacent to some of the experience that people with anxiety might feel.
Yeah.
And I really want to suggest our old friend cognitive behavioral therapy here. The way that you are internally misunderstanding these situations and misreading sounds a lot like a few items on a list of what we call cognitive distortions. These are perspective errors. They're misreads that have to do with some of the ways we grew up and beliefs that we have and meaning that we're attaching to certain things. And there's several that I kind of hear in your story, writer. I mean, one of them is shoulding. And shoulding, therapists like puns, so we often say you are shoulding all over yourself.
Yes, the shoulds.
Got a case of the shoulds.
You people do really like puns.
We get into the game for the puns. That's what this is. But yeah, I mean,
the
you probably are.
The tweed jackets.
Yeah, that's
what we're
here
for. And we're all out of tweed.
Yeah. So you're getting your puns. But no, I mean, like shoulding is whenever you have an arbitrary rule that you've convinced yourself that you must follow. And whenever you are not following that rule, something bad will happen. Either they will leave you, or you are inadequate, or you're a bad man, a bad example, an incorrect father. You are not living up to the standard. And this internal arbitrary rule is something you are making up. If we lined up 10 human beings and had you judged by a jury of your peers, they would probably disagree with your conclusion and really feel that you're out of line. And you agree with as much because you say, guys, I know this is in my head. My wife doesn't shame me. Nobody's picking on me. It's very much coming from me. Well, when I hear that, I think cognitive distortion. I think perspective error. Another cognitive distortion that it sounds like you might relate to is what we call personalizing. And personalizing is apologizing for the rain. It's whenever things are not correct in the world, things are off, and somehow deep down it feels like that was my responsibility. If my spouse seems upset, my first thought is, I've failed. I did something wrong. If she's stressed, it's because I didn't take enough off her plate. If she's tired, it's because I didn't give her the chance to sleep last night. I have failed the people I love.
Which, by the way, is a very kind kind of mindset to have.
Sure. Definitely we'd rather you be that person than an asshole.
Yeah.
But you're
might
not
be a little overly empathetic.
It is hyper empathy, and it's also most importantly inaccurate. And that's where cognitive distortions will fail you. They won't serve you in life because you are seeing things inaccurately. And that lack of accuracy is going to lead to unsustainable dynamics where, you're going to burn yourself out, or you're going to hover around your kid and be like a helicopter parent who's constantly trying to do more for them and take care of them and get them everything they could possibly need. And you're going to realize like, oh man, I kind of have like an interesting dynamic here where maybe I'm overdoing but it comes from a place of love and people like celebrate it because I'm like a doting dad and like that's really cute and it's earnest and it's a good quality and people say I'd rather he be that kind of dad than an asshole who's like negligent, but at the same time, like it's disproportionate and I'm not handling this correctly. Again, these are cognitive distortions. So cognitive behavioral therapy is a really neat process that's very approachable. You can grab a book on it and you could just try to start working on it for yourself. And that process just has to do with identifying some of these maybe distorted ways that we're perceiving things, uncovering some of the behind the scenes of maybe where that perspective began and where it's developing. And then it kind of goes into Whitney's lane of talking about kind of counter affirmational talk that sort of steers you away by questioning the things you're feeling rationally and trying to land on a middle ground. And this is, that famous phrase that I guess I use a lot is about right-sizing something, really is borrowed from cognitive behavioral therapy, which is getting to an accurate perspective of whatever it is that's bothering you. I think you'd benefit from it.
Yeah.
Yeah, my feedback is pretty similar, except more of kind of a focus on perception. And when you're living life in an extreme, any movement away from that extreme feels like the opposite extreme.
Yeah.
So like as an example, take somebody who is like really obsessed with, I don't know, exercise. Mm-hmm. And this person,
like golf.
Imagine that.
Yeah, there it is. Hypothetically.
Somebody
totally
who's like somebody who's a
maybe with a newly discovered gambling problem.
Yeah. Somebody goes to the gym and they go to the gym every day and they work out every day and it's a big part of their life.
Hypothetically.
And then they miss 3 days. Mm-hmm. For that person, it feels like they are way further on the opposite end of the extreme than what they really are.
Boombalatti.
Yeah. Or on the opposite end of that, like somebody who, let's say, is not a workaholic, but we can go like to the opposite end. Let's take somebody who just never really gives up, never does anything, just kind of sits around.
Diogenes.
Just kind of sits there. And then you ask them to like take out the garbage, and it's like you ask them to dig a ditch,
right?
And it's
they're
just like,
I just
my
can't
God,
possibly.
I just can't do this.
To clear my day for this, and you're like,
it's
what?
Like, yeah, you're fine.
It's just a hole.
Yeah. But I mean, like the idea behind this, though, what I'm kind of getting at is that like it's kind of the difference between the feels and the reals. What does it feel like versus what is it really what's really happening? And so it seems to me like you're kind of living your life so far on one extreme that any step away from that, to you feels like it's way more extreme than what it really is.
Yes.
I'd be willing to bet that your wife didn't even think anything of it.
Right.
Probably would have gone the rest of the day not even realizing it until you brought it to her attention. And it's on brand
that you probably do so much anyway. That
exactly.
For her, she's like, oh, good, I can do this. And he can rest. I am loving on him right now.
Yeah.
And then you're thinking, I shouldn't have taken from you. And it's like, whoa, it's okay. It's a marriage.
Yeah. And so, I mean, that's just something to kind of think of. And then, kind of going off of what Jim was talking about, like one of the CBT techniques that we talk about all the time is take your thoughts to court.
Yes.
Like, okay, do you have any hard evidence? Like, and this is, taking the thoughts to court is a good way to separate the feels from the reals.
Yeah.
Because the reals rely on evidence. Mm-hmm. So what evidence do you actually have for this? We get that you feel this way, but what evidence do you have that it actually is this way? Mm-hmm. And when you realize, like, I don't really have good evidence, it's pretty weak, pretty substantial or insubstantial evidence.
Right.
Then you kind of have to come to that conclusion of like, okay, yeah, maybe I'm putting more weight on this than it's really worth.
I love that. And, taking a thought to court here for a second, as you're becoming a father and as you're trying to do for everybody else, at some point, if you didn't allow your child, I don't know if you said son or daughter, but if you didn't allow your child to walk and you carried them everywhere because you felt like if you made them stand on their own 2 feet and use their own muscles, that you were failing them and being lazy as a dad. Like, obviously I'm caricaturing this, but you would clearly understand how unhealthy it is, right? That you're denying them growth opportunities. Well, that's what grit does to the human race. Like, yeah, doing some dishes is maybe good for your wife today. I don't know. But like, you're denying
falling down makes you a better walker.
Right. Don't deny other people their humanity and their human experience by trying to do everything for them. And that doesn't make you a bad person for allowing them to have the human experience.
The other thing too, kind of touching off of that, because I do know some people that, like a really good friend of mine, I kind of give him shit on this all the time, but like,
just say my name, Nick.
It actually isn't.
Does he fall when he walks a lot?
He wasn't.
Wait, what?
He wasn't. I wasn't actually thinking of you, but
okay.
If the shoe fits, which it seems like it does.
These are Crocs.
If the Crocs fit, the idea that like
new Crocs?
Actually, I do have some new ones. These aren't new. These are my camo ones.
Wait, I can't see.
You guys are used to the black ones?
No, I can't see them.
The black ones have the charms.
Yeah.
Sorry. You just see the socks, right?
Yeah, you just have nubs at the end of your leg.
That's right. You just blur. You just pixeled out like Japanese porn.
Were like furry. Sorry, go.
What about furries?
What was I talking about?
I don't care.
Oh.
Okay, so I was talking. Hold on.
The shoe fits.
I'm sorry. That was mine.
Oh yeah. Okay.
Yeah, the shoe.
No, but like I know people that like you can get so like, oh my God, I'm a father. This is my number one priority. Mm-hmm. Everything is about my kids. I got to do X, Y, and Z for my kids. Yeah. Well, what about taking care of yourself so that you can be a good dad?
Sure.
You know, when do you actually take time for yourself to actually go like, I just need a time out so I can go do this thing that brings my life some meaning.
Sure.
That, you know, that helps you recharge, you know, because you can just get burnt out with your kids and then your kids pick that up. You know, the kids are like, okay, Jesus Christ, Dad, can you give me some space?
Right.
Get away from me for 2 seconds.
Right.
Yeah.
And also, this comes back to yet another CBT technique of not just putting the thought, taking the thought to court, but suggesting the answer, talking to yourself as you would talk to a loved one. And I think about your child. If your child became just like you, and they said, you know, I've always loved my dad. My dad was always of service. He was always around the corner looking for ways to love on us and take care of us and serve us. And I'm going to be just like Dad. And then you're talking to your kid and they were newly married and they just were upset and emotional. Like, Dad, I really just fucked all this up. I came home. I passed out after working a hard day. I didn't do the dishes. I let you down. I'm not living up to the man you expect me to be. Like, what advice would you now give to that child? Right? Just talk out loud like you're talking to them. And then listen to your own
You
voice.
wouldn't probably say, yep, you fucked up.
You are a piece of shit, and I did raise you better than this. Stop being lazy. You'd be like, hey, hold on, buddy. You know, like you talk to him in a sensible, rational, wise voice kind of way. Mm-hmm. Use that method to talk to yourself. And play with the CBT thing. I really think that'd be a great method. Along with affirmations and along with whatever Jacob's butt plug advice was going to be.
Yep.
I assumed that's where he was going to go.
That's it.
That's what he's fiddling with over there.
I mean,
the candle's still on.
It's not that I can't just sit still.
If the plug fits. We're going to take a quick break.
This raccoon tail isn't real.
Wait a minute. I thought we were doing Mario 3 cosplay. We're going to take a quick break. And when we come back, we're talking about marriage trouble. Damn, we got a lot of relationship
You
words
sit
today.
on a throne of lies.
Literally.
A tale of lies.
You're listening to Pod Therapy.
Today's episode is brought to you by Ben Don, Malia, Richard Macy, Sonny Boy, University Jeff, Samantha Cone, Thunder, Cougar, Falcon, Scoop, Slurpy Guy Motherfucker, and Sandra McWaffle. And if you want to hear this show live, if you would like to sponsor the show,
why wouldn't you?
become a therapist at patreon.com/therapy. All right.
$5 a month to get you everything.
Yeah.
Patreon.com/therapy.
All the things.
Okay. Ireland. This one's a little twist.
Ireland.
This one's Northern Ireland.
Ooh. Oh boy.
According to IMDb.
Whoa, wait, Jim. Who governs Northern Ireland?
Oh, I knew Jacob was.
Charles. Charles I don't know, is he great? Just Charles. Charles.
England.
The king.
Chuck.
You're trying to say
Chucky
England?
D.
Are you saying England? Is that your final answer?
Yeah, it's all part of the thing.
That's
right?
correct.
I know. I'm impressed. You know that one.
I remember that it's all part of Britain.
There you go.
No,
all of
UK.
it? What about the South Ireland?
I just remember the part where I was right.
Britain is the island.
Nobody gives a fuck, Nick. Nobody cares.
Okay, all right. Yeah, you're right. You're right. That's fair.
There's a country that's named after an animal.
When you're right, you're right.
Bullshit.
All right.
I don't know.
According to IMDb, Northern Ireland actor Liam Neeson.
Oh,
our hero.
Yeah.
Our hero.
I'm confident, by the way, that when I dressed up like a leprechaun this weekend and did my whole South Rainbow thing again, which was fun.
What is this?
You don't know about this?
Oh, he does this every year.
Yeah.
What?
So
I'll take a time out.
Yeah, this is worth it. Thank you.
I was like, it is worth it, whatever it is.
Rainbow Boulevard in Las Vegas.
Okay.
There is an end to it at the very south end of town.
If you just keep driving through Mountain's Edge.
It hits a mountain. And at that end, I dress up like a leprechaun, and I give gold coins to kids who find me at the end of the rainbow on St. Patrick's Day.
Do you send out a PSA?
I do it every year. Yeah,
or
I do
you
it
just
every
linger,
year.
like hoping
I put it
they
in
stumble upon
lingers.
you?
I put it in community groups. Like there's like a little photo I put in community. It's like, oh, the leprechaun will be here. And it's become a tradition in our neighborhood where every year since 2018, families bring their kids to catch me, and I give them stickers and coins, and then take pictures with them. Yeah, I'll show you a picture.
I need the picture. How many kids like trick or treating?
But they don't know
all dick pics.
They don't know about
skip those.
They don't know about your rule like around the elementary schools that you have to
Yeah. They don't know about the
500 feet.
The end of Rainbow is far away from. Every year I dress as a leprechaun, and this year I had a banner, and I actually got a street sign made.
I was going to say, where's that
Rainbow.
street sign from?
Yeah. Because the street sign is too high for pictures, and families always want that picture.
Yeah.
So this year I actually got a sign made.
Oh my god.
And attached it to a little banner, and then that's at the corner, and then kids come and find me. Yeah.
I have no desire to be around children.
Yeah.
Any more than
that's
I
probably good.
Yeah. I don't either, really. I never got that bug.
Like there's nothing that would make me be like, hey, let me do this and make a bunch of kids happy.
It's a good time.
Like, I'm fine with those kids being happy as long as I don't have to be around them.
Yeah, good. Okay.
The kids
You're not
can
going to
be
veto
happy.
the whole happiness.
No. I'm fine
I just
with their
want
happiness,
no part in it.
as long as I don't have to be near them.
Good clarification.
Children's happiness is okay.
Yeah.
Good, Jacob.
I'm
Very
fine
okay.
with it.
It's gotten
As long as it's
I
over
love
there.
It is a good time. And this year, kids have been bringing me drawings. So now it's like catching on where they're drawing me, and they're bringing me drawings, and like, Mr. Leprechaun, thank you.
And you're like, this doesn't look anything
it's
like
Dr.
me,
Leprechaun, Johnny. As it says on my business card, I clearly gave you with the goal.
That business card is a misrepresentation.
I no longer have it. Formerly Dr.
Yeah, thank you.
Dr. Leprechaun.
The leprechaun formerly known as Doctor.
I wish we didn't already have the episode title of Jacob's Church, because that would have been it.
According to IMDb,
Northern
Ireland actor Liam Neeson wanted to be in this movie so bad, he didn't even read the script.
Leprechaun. I'm just kidding.
There's no multiple choice. You're just going to have to come up with your
throw one out.
Is it a movie that he was in?
Yes, correct.
Didn't even read the script. Yes,
so it's not
on
like
offer.
Mission Impossible. He wanted to be the Tom Cruise character or something.
Yeah. Yes, I'm all in. No? Okay.
Right.
I'm going to vote.
I can only think of 2 movie seasons.
Yeah,
it's going to be one of those.
I'm going to take Lego Movie. I think he immediately said yes to that.
Adult actors do that. They're like, oh, you got kids and they love it.
I'm going to do
That's
the Lego
so
Movie.
good.
I don't need to see who I am. Whatever you want me to do.
Solid.
Oh. Whitney?
Taken?
I think
Sure.
that's a clear move. You're both going Taken? You should go Taken 2.
Taken 2.
I'll
go Taken also.
That's a safe bet. Yes.
The first one was so good. Yeah, I'm not even reading the second.
You know what? I pretty much got it from the title. It's fine. I can put it all together.
The only other movie I can't even think of is Love Actually.
Yeah, I cannot name a whole lot of Liam Neeson movies.
Again.
The answer is, and unfortunately, you all got it wrong.
Oh, damn.
Star Wars Episode 1, The Phantom Menace.
Oh,
he
wow.
is in Star Wars. I forgot about that.
Yeah,
what's he in Star Wars?
Yeah.
He's Qui-Gon Jinn. Yeah.
He's the other Jedi. That's right.
Yeah.
He's the not Obi-Wan Kenobi Jedi.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say.
Which, by the way, if you guys want a really good laugh, go to YouTube, type in Liam Neeson, Life's Too Short.
Okay.
Life's Too Short is a Ricky Gervais, Stephen Merchant mockumentary.
Okay.
No.
And it's about Warwick Davis. The
little person.
The little person, that played Willow. So it's about him. He's trying to restart his acting career. And so Stephen Merchant and
he was in Austin
Ricky
Powers,
Gervais.
right? That guy?
No, that was
that wasn't Warwick?
Troy.
No, that was
okay.
Troy something.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry, I thought that was
Warwick Davis. He was in Star Wars. He was like one of the Ewoks in Star Wars.
Oh,
that's where he got his start.
He was
right.
Willow in Willow.
Yeah.
I don't know that Willow movie.
So anyway, he's trying to restart his movie career. He's a D-list
I
celebrity.
think I've actually seen this
it's
thing.
out. Yeah. And so in this one particular scene, Warwick Davis is sitting there. He's meeting with Stephen and Ricky Gervais, and Liam Neeson shows up.
Oh
and Liam
God.
Neeson is like, I want to get into doing improv comedy.
I have seen this.
They're like, okay. And they're like, well, it's not really you. You're an action
kind of a drama guy. Yeah.
And he's just, I want to do improv comedy. And then they're like, all right, well, let's do it. Let's act out a scene. So they act out this little scene, and it's like, so Warwick comes up and with an idea is like, okay, Liam, you're a hypochondriac, and Ricky, you're the doctor.
Yeah.
Okay. So he knocks. He's like, come in. And then Ricky Gervais is like, oh, you again. And Liam's like, I've never been here before. And Ricky's like,
constantly fucking it up.
He's like, well, I figure you're a hypochondriac. That would be that you've been here
before. Yeah.
He's like, that was a backstory that we did not agree upon before.
Oh my god!
The whole thing, it just goes completely off the rails. It is fucking hilarious.
I've never heard of that. Now I have to go watch it.
Oh my god!
I love
the show is
Stephen
hilarious.
Merchant and Ricky Gervais.
Yeah, and Warwick Davis is kind of the star of it, and it's hilarious.
That's amazing.
Because he definitely sees himself as being a much bigger celebrity than what he really is.
Yeah.
And so,
great.
Oh my gosh.
There was one scene, he was hired. He was really excited because he got this part in a movie. And it was alongside Helena Bonham Carter. And so he was all excited. I'm going to be in this movie with her, and she's great. She's a wonderful actress. And he was like a stand-in for like a.
Oh my gosh!
So she was rehearsing her scenes. He was a stand-in for a child.
Oh.
A child actor.
Oh, there it is.
So she's rehearsing her scenes, and she's like, I'm sorry, I can't work. Is there something we can do with him?
Oh no!
And so then they're like, okay, well let's. She's like, well, I'm something about his face. I don't like. So then they put a trash can over his head.
Oh my god!
It is so funny. Anyway, all right.
Wow.
I'm sorry.
Trivia.
Question number 2.
There we go.
What form of government does Ireland have? So I went ahead and I gave you multiple choice here.
Oh damn.
A, constitutional monarchy.
Oh.
B, parliamentary democracy.
No.
Democracy. C, constitutional democracy.
Fuck.
D, federalist republic.
Oh.
Or E, Chuck Norris despotism.
Obviously, that's it.
Yeah. I don't remember who's first.
I get to go last. Is all I know.
All right.
Do you?
Yes.
Did I go last on the last
first.
question?
No.
Yeah, you did.
You did. Yeah.
Okay, so I'll go first on this one. I'll go. What was B?
Parliamentary democracy.
I'll go that one.
That feels like
Okay.
a move.
I feel like that might be a bit of a red herring, but I'm going with it anyway.
Okay.
I'm going to take the other parliament. I think it was like constitutional parliament.
There was a constitutional monarchy.
Yeah, there was another parliament.
There absolutely was another parliament.
No, constitutional democracy and a federalist republic.
Fuck. I'll take the Federalist Republic.
Okay.
I'll just go with A because I think that was the other one.
Constitutional monarchy.
Oh, sure, that one. Yeah.
Oh shit! Didn't we figure out they have a king? God damn it!
Well, they're in the UK.
Ireland.
Oh,
not Northern Ireland.
Oh,
Ireland.
what?
So those are two different countries. Let's start there.
The island of Ireland has two different
That's
countries.
why
on it.
earlier you're like,
Yes.
oh, the UK. I'm like, y'all need to ask him about.
Yeah. There's
Not
Ireland
Northern
and there's
Ireland.
Northern Ireland.
Ah,
Yeah.
it's kind of like an LA thing,
Yeah.
like Burbank. Like
Ireland
Is it
and
LA?
Northern
Like,
Ireland.
yeah, it is.
Ireland is known as the Burbank of
yeah, that's right.
cool. Proceed.
of the British Isles.
Yeah.
Northern Ireland
it.
is more like West Hollywood.
Not the shithole part. Got it.
By the way,
Got it.
West Hollywood is where you need to go hang out.
That's the cool place.
Yeah. That's got like Sunset Strip on it.
Ooh.
Go see the bands. Yeah.
Jacob got it right. Parliamentary
Damn it.
democracy.
So it was just a putt.
All right, last one for this one.
Okay.
Okay, in 1759, Guinness founder Arthur Guinness agreed to rent an unused brewery at St. James Gate and signed a multi-year lease for an annual rent of £45 per year.
True.
What is the original what year is the original lease set to expire?
I think I know this
I
one, so I'm
want
going to go last.
1,000 years from the date of signing.
You can't go last again.
Okay.
I'm taking whatever the date was plus 1,000.
What was the original date?
1759.
So I'm taking
Because we need to give you a date, right?
Yes, closest. Well, you can go years.
Yeah, 27.
Okay.
If you want to go years, that's fine.
I want 1,000 on top of that. it's
So Jim's
27.
1,000 years.
Okay.
Yeah, so I'm 2759 or whatever.
2759. Okay.
Whitney?
I feel like, well, Jim's making me second guess because it might be 1,000, but I feel like it's like never. Like unlimited.
Oh.
Infinity symbol?
Yeah, infinity symbol. I don't know.
You think there's just like a...
In the closest without going over. That is a bold...
It is. It is. I know. I'm not playing strategy here.
Right? Are we counting like integers? Like,
fine, 1001.
I have just been reminded that this game is closest without going over.
And
damn
it. Take 1 year.
Okay, so...
I'll give you a second guess.
Okay, 1001 then.
Yeah. My real guess is like 500, but I'll say 1 for the gamesmanship.
All right.
Okay. Whitney gets it.
Hey.
It was 9,000 years.
9,000.
there
I
you
knew
go.
it was like some insane number.
Yes.
Yes.
Wow.
I got a point.
So set to expire in 10,759.
Now that I wonder...
Did he lock in the rent?
Of our Lord.
He locked in the rent for 45 pounds a year?
But they ended up purchasing the land anyway.
Yeah.
So, but
now he
that
owns
was the original lease.
Because then like... you have that lease. Basically, you have a contract with the government. If the government changes, now you no longer have that contract.
Yeah.
It behooves you to just fucking buy it.
9,000
build a
years.
fortress.
Also, after a few years, they were like, "Hey, we might have something here.
Yeah. This Guinness thing seems to be catching on.
How about we could just buy this land?
If we could just,
I think we're gonna stick around
wring out
a
all
while.
the beard pints.
Yeah.
We could actually open up a second factory.
That's right.
Yeah. Ugh, beard
A
pints.
beard ringing plant.
beard pipes. That was
Beard pipe.
beer. What did I say?
Beard pints?
Beard pints.
There it
I heard pipes.
Beard pipes.
I
that's
did
what I heard,
too.
too.
I
That's
did
what
say that, and then I was trying to figure out what was I trying to say.
With Nick, you just have to guess what
Yeah.
he was going for. It's
Anyway.
generally how it works.
That was a good one.
Last question, marriage trouble. Hi, Whitney, Nick, Jacob, and Dr.
Hi.
Lord Jim.
He's not
Thank
a
you
doctor.
for remembering my lordship, which is totally a thing, and I have a certificate. TLDR, I'm having trouble in my marriage. I'm not opposed to doing therapy, but I'm not sure if we should do it alone or together. Backstory. My husband, from 7 days old, was raised by his grandparents. My husband has had major pressure on him from his grandfather dying to my husband finding him in the car on Thanksgiving Day over a year ago. I read that poorly, but my husband has had major pressure on him after finding his grandfather who died on Thanksgiving Day in the car.
Oh.
That's how it...
Husband found grandfather who had died.
And grandfather raised him.
I see. Okay.
His grandfather was supposed to be driving to our house with his grandmother to have dinner with my husband, but he had a heart attack in his driveway. His grandmother had dementia, so she was trapped in the car for 2 hours before my husband found her. I was out of town visiting my parents and was flying back on Thanksgiving so I could make real Thanksgiving dinner that following day. Fast forward, he is now guardian over his grandmother and has 24/7 care for her in her home, which we are paying for out of pocket until we can get her on Medicaid. We are in the process of selling her second home so that can happen. The closing should be this week if the court will give us the document saying we can by then. Apparently, guardianship doesn't transfer in the state the house is in. Yay. Current times. My husband is very introverted, so he doesn't really have many people to talk to about all this. So this has led to depression. He's high-functioning and flutters with first base, but nothing more. Side note, the writer is referring to the baseball diamond that we use to often discuss suicidality. First base is thinking about death, but no, it plans or intentions. Second base is having thought about the means of how one would hurt themselves. Third base is actually constructing a real plan and getting serious about it. And then passing third and running toward home is getting really close to action. So anyway, back to the letter. He is high-functioning and flutters with first base, but nothing more. It's been like that for 3 years. He has a therapist he's been seeing for a year. Though I don't think he goes enough, he only sees him once a month online. He keeps saying his schedule booked. He keeps saying his schedule is booked.
Schedule's booked.
There it is. I tell him to book more than one appointment at a time. He says, I don't want to think that far ahead. The issue with my husband at present is I'm being overlooked. I don't really get things like hugs and kisses. The cats get more affection from my husband than I do. I feel like a roommate. I do help as much as I can, like finding resources. I helped get the aids. I shop for groceries each week for his grandmother. I visit with him most weekends. I've started to do stuff at night after work 3 days a week to just get out of the house, like chorus, game night, and trivia. I invite my husband along, but he says he doesn't like board games, singing, or trivia. I tried to get him to go with me to a comedy show, but he told me he didn't know the comedian and didn't want to go. Our friend has thrown multiple parties, and he has said he doesn't want to go, and only once I told him he was going, but I was ill that day, and so we didn't go. This year, we've done a couple weekend trips, and he seems better. However, that's something I can only do once in a while. I feel guilty because I want more from my husband. I keep telling myself he's going through a lot, but it doesn't seem like it's going to change anytime soon. I also feel like I'm fighting more with him and crying more. I've talked to my husband about this, and he says his body weight issue and stress from all this makes him not want to do much. Any advice you have will be greatly appreciated. Also, I was in therapy like a year ago, but I didn't have enough to bring up during session. My therapist and I agreed we should stop and just do an as-needed visit. I'm going to start up again soon, but wasn't sure if I should do it alone or with my husband. If I do go with my husband, should I find a new therapist? Thanks, Anonymous.
Okay, those are some good questions. Yeah, he's definitely gone through a lot. That's
Goodness
really
gracious.
That's very traumatic.
Oh boy, the poor grandmother too.
Yeah.
Yeah. What a tough situation.
Well, and he was already sounds like dealing with depression before this all happened. If I'm getting the timeline right, for like the last 3 years, and then this happened a year ago.
Yeah.
So things might be kind of compiling onto him.
Yeah.
And being a caretaker or affording someone to help in the meantime is stressful. That's a huge challenge and a lot to take on. And I can see how you might be feeling like kind of pushed to the side, and he might be feeling like I'm doing the best I can, but isn't really able to open up or talk about it.
Not only feeling pushed to the side, and then also feeling guilty for even bringing it up.
I know.
Still having needs.
Yeah.
When the other person legitimately has gone through a crisis.
Yeah.
They're not okay. They're mentally ill.
So, I mean, Ryder, I would, first off, acknowledge that's a tough spot to be in. And you're not wrong for feeling abandoned or feeling like your needs aren't being met. And having those feelings doesn't make you a bad person. Bringing them up doesn't make you a bad person, even though you may feel guilty about it. I think that's perfectly normal to feel that way. And I mean, and it's a good thing. I mean, in the end, you're concerned about this is because you want a better relationship with your husband. Yes. And that's something you should feel good about that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. As far as therapy, I wonder if you mentioned that your husband, and I know this is assuming, but based on his actions, I kind of agree. You suggested like him going more often than once a month to see a therapist. Maybe going together, even if you add just one extra time, if he would do that for you and you book it and, do the scheduling, whatnot, that could be helpful, at least a starting point, even if it's just getting him in the habit of going twice a month for a while, seeing if that feels better to him. And hopefully he'll see that as helpful and maybe be more open to booking with his own therapist for individual more often. But when you ask kind of at the end, do we do therapy together? Do I go on my own? I would start or reach back out to that therapist you met with before, see what their availability is for individual, because you are taking on a lot more now too. Like you're helping with like all the paperwork that needs to be filed, or like selling this house. I mean, there's a lot going on there too, and in your relationship that would be helpful to talk about with someone. I would recommend getting a different therapist for couples personally, because sometimes it can be tricky to feel like one therapist isn't like biased if you've already been meeting with them before.
It goes case by case. Sometimes the therapist you've been working with is a good choice to convert to couples therapy. I don't like them having to wear two hats. Yeah. And I won't. You know, sometimes I'm the right fit though, because I've had situations where I've been working with an individual for a while. I know their heart, I know their situation, and they've already given me a lot of background about husband and family stuff. And then they'll come to me and say, hey, what do you think about working with my husband and I, you know, or whatever. And it's like, I'm fine with that. We will be discontinuing individual therapy. I will be reading you your rights as a couples therapist.
Yeah, fair.
And I'm going to explain to you how I'm going to wear a new hat.
Sure.
And that's okay if that's the right fit, but it's case by case for me. Like I will judge that, and there's times when I'm
but not ongoing individual and couple.
No, we're
right.
done.
Okay.
Yeah, we're going to be done.
Agreed. Yeah.
Yeah, and at that point, it's all in on couples work, and the rules have changed.
Sure.
And so I agree with the idea that if husband could maybe, it's very straining on anybody to have suddenly 3 therapists in your life, right?
Yeah,
Husband goes to one, I go to one, then we have a couples one. I get it. That can be a lot. You're writing a letter about your relationship. So clearly that's your presenting problem. That's your distressing event. And so I could see an argument that you say, okay, you know what? We're going to start up with either my previous therapist, if that is a good fit, or a brand new therapist, which I think is a default choice. That's usually the right one, that we're going to start doing some family therapy with. Husband's not on trial. I'm not dragging him in here to hear, you know, a list of my complaints every week. We've been through a lot as a family. And I want to make sure that somebody's here for us and guiding us in how we as a family can support each other, heal each other, and talk to each other, and make sure that we're communicating things back and forth that need to be said. And we're getting good questions, and we're opening up important dialogue. That could be huge, because then husband might be doing his one-on-ones once a month and then coming to couples therapy. And sometimes I've noticed, oh my gosh, I've had this happen so many times, where you'll have that client who just won't say 5 words in the hour. And you're like, boy, I am holding up both sides of this. You know, you are making me earn every dollar.
Yep.
And like, this is a lot. And you're like, how's this going? Fine. How about this? Great. What about that job thing you mentioned? Oh, it didn't work out. Okay.
Where do you think Kate Middleton is?
Yeah. What do you
Let's really dive in here.
It's not my basement. Why'd you bring that up? Wow. Now you're suddenly really chatty. But like, you'll get them into a different paradigm, like with their spouse, and now they talk. And now, because their spouse knows, and like there's a whole different dyad going on, right? Because now their spouse is like, well, John, what do you think about this? And now John answers, because John knows her tone, and like he knows he's supposed to volley that, and like, okay. And now you see like a whole new muscle stretch, and sometimes you have access to a person in whole new therapeutic ways because you've shifted the dynamic.
Yeah.
So that could be a huge thing to stir the pot here, writer. Just one more idea.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think I like the idea of getting involved in therapy. The other thing too, kind of taking a look at where he's at and what he's going through. Obviously, you've talked to him about this, because you said that that he says that his body weight issues and stress make him not want to do much. Mm-hmm. So I'm really curious what you did with that information. Yeah. You know, because I think with that, sometimes I think that gets kind of thrown out there, and then it's like, oh, okay, I get it. And then that ends the conversation. Mm-hmm. Whereas I think that's a really great place to start up a conversation.
Can be, yeah.
Like, my body weight issues and stress are making me not want to be active or do anything. Mm-hmm. Okay, what can I do to help?
Right.
You know, this is problematic. And obviously, you know, if I'm feeling like I'm not getting any kind of affection from you, it's affecting me, but also it's affecting you. Like if you feel like these issues are keeping you stuck and you're not able to move on or move forward with your life, that can't be pleasant.
Right.
So what are we doing about that?
Right.
You know, and if we're doing therapy once a month, well, are you making progress in this area? If not, then maybe we need to increase that. But also, what can I do to help? You know, is there something that you need from me that I can assist with? You know, whatever that may be.
Well, and husband, as the writer says, like an extreme introvert, you know, and so doesn't have access to a lot of sharing ability. And it was probably a big share to tell his wife, like, look, I'm not making advances at you, and I'm not trying because right now I'm not happy with myself. and I feel insecure getting naked with you or trying to be sexual with you. Like if you were to reject me even passively right now, it might be devastating. That was a lot, for that dude to get out of himself and shit. Right, or to be frank, that might have been the result of all that therapy. Like that may have been his fucking triumph. Like I got that 5 words out. Like that was a big fucking 5 words for me.
Yeah.
So I love using that. I could totally see though, depending upon what the dynamics of your marriage are, that's where therapists can sometimes be really helpful. Is they can say and ask the questions that maybe neither of you can. But because of the safety, hopefully, of the therapeutic room and that we can connect like this, we can develop the trust where you're both feeling comfortable answering our questions and hearing you and hearing each other and getting out things that maybe you didn't know about your partner that is really important to discover.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm hopeful. I mean, I think this is something that you can kind of work through. He's going through a lot right now, but I think, if you're both willing to kind of work at this, there's definitely hope.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that's what marriage therapy is for, and sometimes you can couch it as, hey, look, it isn't our marriage that we're doing work on. It's family therapy. We've been through a lot. You're going through a lot. We're a team. I love you. And I don't want to lose each other throughout this crisis, so how do we help each other? And so sometimes that's more helpful too.
Yeah. Like as a team going into it. Yeah.
Absolutely. And don't forget, if you need spiritual advice, the Church of Jacob is open 24 hours a day, 7 days a week for a reasonable fee.
It's definitely not 24 hours.
Step back on that 24 hours.
Well, there's a hotline. He's not going to answer it. Yeah.
Send an email.
You could say some kind of prayer, I think. That's available.
Well, Jacob has like a Vatican City. That's his hood. Just chilling. And, it's guarded by the Swiss.
In Paradise, Nevada.
Yeah. Oh, don't you start naming these
Enterprise.
Don't you do it. As we wrap up the show, we want to remind you can sign up at patreon.com/therapy. You can get our extended show ad-free a day earlier, as well as enjoy the live chat Discord community and our weekly deep dives, interviews, skill shares, research roundups, and rants. And if you have a ton of burning questions for Nick, you can listen to this week's Deep Dive Part 2 AMA, because Nick just had to talk about himself.
I did.
He gave the people what they wanted.
It was a deep dive.
You got a taste topic you can share? A taste of the AMA you can share?
What was the question asked?
Oh, I did.
Sample.
Oh, I told a story. God, what
sounds
the
riveting.
fuck did I talk about?
Anyway, you should give us money to access more of this. Wouldn't you like to know?
I told
This is his teaser.
No,
You'll have to find
it was
out.
really good. I don't remember.
Somebody asked something that was really good, and I was like, oh, you know what? I've never actually talked about this before.
So what story did you tell?
I don't fucking remember.
Oh, goddamn.
Patreon.com/therapy.
I thought you were trying to think of the question that got asked that triggered the story.
I did tell the story that I actually wrote in to ICS.
Oh, okay. Yeah, we've heard
and you guys read it on the air.
That was a good one.
About me stealing signs, road signs.
Okay.
And yeah, it was a huge big deal. But you got to pay for that. You got to. That's
right. He ain't just giving away for free.
So Nick's answer to my question: is there a taste you could share with the non-Patreon audience right now to get them to go over and sign up as the Patreon?
Mm-hmm.
Nick's answer is no.
That's right. Go fuck yourself.
Yeah,
that's correct.
Yeah, no freebies.
That's correct.
Nothing.
Patreon.com/therapy.
Was it what do you want for your birthday?
Yeah. $5 a month. Go sign up. Patreon.com/therapy.
Thank you, Jacob.
Get you everything.
Jacob's pushing me along. I love it. Also, reminder, March Madness, you can fill out your bracket before time runs out. I think if you're in the Patreon audience, you're going to hear this with a little bit of time to spare.
I think it starts on Tuesday, right?
No, it's Thursday.
Is it Thursday?
Locked.
Okay.
Yeah. It's always Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. For the first
if you're in the
rounds.
main audience and you see this Thursday morning, you might have a shot. So go to patreon.com/therapy, get into our feed, find the bracket announcement, click the links, join it. Maybe you will win. And we want to thank new friends of the show who have joined the Theraparty. Who's new, Nick?
All right, we got some new Therapals. We got Punny Dad.
I like it.
Who may have been announced on the last show, but I forgot.
Nope.
Brad Brandt.
Dale
the King.
Yes.
Helene Scoop.
Welcome back.
Jacob Hurt.
Yes.
And Neil Fleisch. It was all put together.
Yeah, I like that. And we got some new Therapods. Welcome back, Todd Canfield, Alex Jardine, and Juan Monterrey. You killed my father.
I said that in my name exactly, in my head exactly
the
like
same
that.
way? Yeah. That's because it's correct.
Yeah.
It's because you and I are culturally sensitive.
Yeah.
Because we are highly trained professionals who attended CEUs.
Moving on.
Whitney was about to tell a story.
Sorry, go ahead.
No, I just, this morning we had our yard people trimming up our trees, and the duck nest is back behind the bush. So we had to run out at 8 a.m. and Peter tried to speak 8 a.m. Spanish to tell them. He's like, tenemos pato, pata. He's like, it's like it's a girl duck. I was like,
quack, quack.
It's hilarious.
It's important that you know she's a girl.
I know. I'm like, good job, babe. He just has the leaf blower, and he's like, gets closer to the bush. He's like, no. He's like, further away. It was like, sorry.
Just slowly looking at him.
That's all I thought.
I'm going to leave now, sir.
All right.
Okay, we'd like to thank the benevolent, revered, generous, and flagrantly pro-therapy diehards who love you all so much that they give till it hurts. The Therapartners, Dirty B, Myra, and Pickett.
Woo.
And we want to thank our bosses, the mysterious and shrouded Illuminati members of the fan club, the Theraproducers. Thank you, Jake Schneider, Robert Brownie Jr., Mint, Smitty Scoop, Ben Dawn, Judy Schneider, Kayla Lansbury, Mrs. and Mr. Hot Dog Scoop, Malia, Leon Kassab, Mason Miller, Richard Macy, Carolyn Albert, Kevin Chamberlain, Tess Miller, Sammy Scoop, Ben Stanley, Slap in Your Face, Sarah Smith, Adam Hathaway, Byler T., University Jeff, Mike Helm, Paris, Samantha Cohn, Darren Cunningham, Lib, Team Monaco, Thunder, Cougar, Falcon Scoop, Matt Lisa Tangeman, Heyo, Oscar, Swanrose, A Sunny Boy, Slurpy Kai, motherfucker, Sandra McWaffle, Dan Martin, and Hannah Marie.
And if you'd like to hear this episode uncut and unedited,
and why wouldn't you?
And enjoy our spontaneous side projects, go to patreon.com/therapy. And thank you for supporting mental health.
That's all the time we got for this week's session. Want to thank our landlords, Matt Mattingly's Ice Cream Social Podcast. Come meet them and us in May at
Scoopfest
2024. Go check it out. And thanks to those of you who contributed to the show today. We sure do appreciate it. Hey, this show's not meant to be kept all to yourself. Share it with the world. Tag us on the socials when you do. It's at PodTherapyGuys in some places, /PodTherapy in others. You can figure it out. All the bonus stuff is at patreon.com/therapy.
And if you want to submit a question to the show, you can ask anonymously at podtherapy.net, or you can email us at podtherapyguys@gmail.com. I'm Nick Tangeman.
I'm Whitney.
I'm Jim.
Thanks, and we'll see you for your appointment next week.
I've got a special set of skills.
Okay, I got one last question.
All right.
Let me find it. The Republic of Ireland
Oh boy.
was the first country in the world to ratify this by popular vote. Your answer must be in the form of a question.
Women's suffrage?
Was it recent?